Hello, everyone. So, my name is Mary Holden. I work for Junior Achievement. I am the program coordinator. At my job, I help schedule classes and programs with schools and different organizations, but then I also help find volunteers for those. But today, I'm your volunteer. I am doing the JA Career Success program for Get Hired, Know Your Personal Brand lesson. So we're going to talk about your personal brand, and some of you might be wondering what the heck that is. So I have a definition for you. So personal brand is the personal expression of who you are and what makes you unique. So a lot of times when we think about brand, we might think about companies having a brand and their logo being their brand or something, but that's just their way of making themselves unique and stand out. And today we're going to be talking about your personal brand, which makes you unique. The main components of that would be your cover letter, your resume, maybe the application that you submit for a job, and then also your digital profile presence, I guess. So we're going to be talking about those different things. For the most part, we're going to be doing a little activity, which is going to be a little different, but we're going to be the HR department for a company, and we're going to see if 3 applicants are going to be able to move on to the interview process. We are going to kind of evaluate them. So first, we're going to evaluate them on those 3 things, cover letter, resume, as well as their digital profile. So for their cover letter, in case you guys don't know, I have 2 more definitions for you. So a cover letter is a job applicant's written introduction to a potential employer that summarizes the applicant's strengths and skills. So this is a letter. I do have some tips that I will be discussing later on about how to make your letter awesome, but this is just to kind of give us some background knowledge. So it should be like an introduction into your skills and strengths and all of those different things. And then next is our resume, which you guys are probably more familiar with. This is a written summary of a person's education, skills, and work experience. So your cover letter is typically like a formal letter. It has dear and sincerely at the end. And then resume is more like a list. So we're going to be looking at our 3 applicants. If you do have the personal brand packet, awesome. If not, I'm going to show you kind of what we're going to be using it for, just to help us out. And we're going to be doing this all together, obviously, because it's virtual. So we're just making it work as we go. But on the back of the personal brand packet, there is an evaluation form. So we're going to be looking at the cover letter, the resume, and the digital profile for these 3 candidates. And we have a scale of 1 to 5. 5 being the best, they're awesome, knocked it out of the park, whatever, and then 1 being the worst. So we'll go through those, kind of evaluate them. Obviously, I'm going to be sharing them with you as best I can. And I'm going to put my personal opinion in there, but you can share and think of your own opinion and evaluate them as you feel best. So first, in my list, we have Ryan going first. So we're going to start with Ryan. We're going to start with cover letter. So Ryan didn't submit a cover letter, so that makes it easy. I pretty much would add 0 there, because if you don't turn it in, I can't even give you a 1. Like, no. So, Ryan, you get a 0. Moving on. Allison. Allison did submit something, so that's good. That is what Allison submitted. So I'll read it to you, because it is only 1 sentence. She does have at the top her name, her address, her email, which her email is dramaqueen@example.email.com. Not a great email to have, I'll just say that. She does have the date. It is written month, day, year, as like with the slashes in between. I don't love that for professional writing, but that's fine. She has Dear Wayne College. I'm interested in the job you posed in the paper. Please call to discuss. Alison Kim. Sorry, there are 2 sentences. I believe she meant to say posted in the paper, so I'm going to count that as a typo. Obviously, sometimes people will get hired that have had typos in the cover letter or the resume, and they turn out to be the most detailed oriented person in the whole company's history. But when you're looking at people, if some people are like kind of come out to be even, you might kind of take that into consideration. So it is really important to proofread. Also, she did say Dear Wayne College. Make it personal. Use the person's name. If you don't know the person's name, due to whom it may concern. I know it's not like the best of the best, but it's still um, better. And especially with a lot of applications being online, sometimes they don't have the name of the person that you're really applying to. So it might just be easier to whom it may concern, but we'll cover those tips later anyway. So honestly, Allison maybe gets a 1. She did submit something. Sorry, I have the hiccups. So, you can do what you want with that. I don't love her outlook, at least right now. So then we have our last applicant, who is Mick. So this is Mick's letter. Obviously, you can see it's longer than 2 sentences than Allison, so that's a plus. It's also submitted, so doing better than right. So we're getting somewhere. Mick does have his name and then address up at the top. He did write out the date, so it's spelled out December 11, 2016 of 2016. Shows how old this program is, so I apologize. And then it does have the address for the company and the department that he's applying for. Dear Miss Allen, so that's good. Did mention their name there, made it personalized, so that's cool. And then I'm going to try to read it as quickly as possible so it's not super boring for you. I am writing to express my interest in the shipping and receiving position open at Wayne College. I'm familiar with the shipping and receiving department at Wayne State, as I have often come to Wayne State to pick up donations for Walter's Soup Kitchen. I have come to know the supervisor of that department, David Penny. David suggested that I contact you directly regarding the position. David and I have worked closely in the soup kitchen for many years, and he thought that I would be an excellent match for Wayne State. My many years as a volunteer with Walter's Soup Kitchen have given me the opportunity not only to be involved with the shipping and receiving at Walter's, but also to experience the shipping and receiving operations at many of the generous businesses in the Metro Achievement, Wisconsin. My many years of service at Walter's have allowed me great opportunity to deal with people at all levels and with many problems that I have helped resolve. Here's a typo. He put I twice. I think he just meant to put it once. So I believe that I am an excellent candidate for this position you have advertised and would very much like the opportunity to meet with you to discuss what I have to offer as an employee. So overall, not a bad letter. Also, he does write regards and then does actually sign it in cursive. So that's pretty nice. That is kind of a nice personalized touch. You're not obviously sending this to everyone on earth, so that's kind of nice to see that personalization. I do have some problems with it. I thought we were applying for a job at Wayne College, not Wayne State. I don't know if maybe that college changed their name recently, but make sure it's consistent. What you're saying, he did mention what job he was applying for. So Allison did mention that she saw it in the paper, but she didn't mention what job it was. And for colleges or other companies, a lot of times they're hiring more than one position. So you need to specify what position you're applying for. So thankfully, Mick did that. What kind of puts me off a little bit is that he mentions David Penny and David and David and David and David and David about being the supervisor of the department, kind of being like, "Ooh, I know the supervisor, so I should get the job because of who I know." It's iffy. Obviously, if that's who he heard about the job and about the position, put it in there clearly. But you didn't have to go into depth about how he thinks I'm an excellent match. If David wants to give you a recommendation, they can reach out to David for said recommendation, and then he'll tell them if he thinks you're an excellent match. So leave that off your cover letter. Also, right now, I only think he has ever worked at Walter's Soup Kitchen, which maybe he has. That's totally cool. But I would like to see some more variety in your experience. That's just me. So again, 1 to 5, 5 being the best. Mick, I would at least give him at least a 3 because there are minor typos. Does specify what job he's looking for, is written in actual letter format, not just 2 sentences. So I think Mick did a pretty good job in the cover letter, but obviously we have to look at a couple more things. So the next thing is our resume. Again, we're going to just go back to the top with Ryan. 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. Ryan does have a resume, so that's really good. We're off to a better start. I will mention that typically when jobs ask for like a cover letter and a resume, they're also, the cover letter does help them get a little bit more in depth with you and what your experiences are and how you fit with the job description, but they also help make sure that you understand how to follow instructions. And when there are things that have to be submitted, if you don't submit one, there's a high chance that you're just going to be omitted from the rest of the process. So luckily for Ryan, we are going to keep looking at his resume and application, but there's a solid chance that another HR department would have been like, oh, you didn't submit your cover letter? Goodbye. We don't need you. You can't follow instructions. So there's that. Make sure you do everything they ask of you. So this is Ryan's resume. From a glance, it looks fine. I don't love these crazy templates. All of them kind of have weird templates, so I'll talk about that later. Personally, I like to keep it more like black font across the board. If I have lines on it, they're black lines, nothing crazy fancy, no fonts that are weird, no colors that are crazy. So it's not hurting my eyes, but I definitely prefer something simpler. Plus, you don't really know who's reading it. Sometimes colors are hard for people. I don't know. So it might just be easier to do with black font color across the board. Anyways, he does have his address, and then he also does have his email, which is ryanmac@exampleemail.com. Super professional, super simple, easy, awesome. Next is education, high school diploma. It does not have the year that he received that or is going to. So if you haven't graduated yet, you can obviously put that you're expecting to graduate this year or like May of 2020, something like that. And again, for high school, which he only has, which is totally cool, you don't have to put like a specific degree. If you do like a CTE program, maybe you can add that in, but other than that, a high school diploma is pretty generic across the board. When you get to college, then maybe you'll add, what degree you got in college because you specify your studies there. So not terrible. Then we have experience, and our titles and for each of the sections are bolded, so you can kind of tell the difference between them. I would recommend like tabbing over the rest of the information so it's not on the same line, just to again make it easier for the reader. So we have experiences, we have 2 jobs, they have like the name, the title that he held there, the dates of which he worked at those jobs, which is cool. He does have them as like June 2012 to August 2013. That's fine. You do not need June 2nd, 2012 to August 13th, 2013. No, it's okay to just have the month and the year. It makes it a lot easier. So there's that. Then we have skills, which are bulleted, and I am a big pusher for bullets. I think they're really helpful. They make it easier to read. My problem with it is that these look like what he did at his job, and therefore they should go underneath each of the jobs he had, so I know which one worked with that. And of course, you're going to maybe do some of the same stuff, but skills to me should be more about like, I'm fluent in Microsoft Office, so I know Word, PowerPoint, Excel, all of those things that are kind of generic, rather than like he has team lead and owner's absence, supervising the digging, bagging, and loading of a truck for trees, maybe Trees Unlimited. I don't know because it's not under the exact job that he did, but I do like the bullets. And then at the bottom, we do have a reference. For me personally, since your resume is supposed to be on one page, I highly recommend just putting, references upon request, just because obviously they probably are going to ask for references, and I can give that to them, but it doesn't take up valuable space on my resume, especially for those of you who are running out of space. So that's important. Honestly, not bad, pretty good. It's submitted, so that's better than last time, Ryan. So, take what you like. 5 is the best. I definitely wouldn't give him a 5. I don't think it's the best resume I've ever seen, but it's definitely not the worst. So maybe a 2 or a 3, somewhere in there. Moving on. So next we have Alison's. So Alison is a little fun. So hers is bright pink and yellow. No, don't do it. It makes it difficult to read. And also, like Ryan's, his titles and stuff were still in black ink, like throughout the resume. Only his name was in orange. Alison's, we have the titles and stuff in bright pink. So it makes it more difficult to read. So I don't love it. Again, her email is dramaqqueen@example.com. Bad email. If it's fine to send to like your friends and stuff, but for professional things like this, it's really easy to make a free email account. So please make it with your name and last name and call it a day. So next we have our experience at the top, which is fine. People have their own opinions on what should come first. Really whatever you want. Just make sure it's titled properly. So we do have like nice sections, so you can really tell which section's which, but again, it is in like pink and stuff, and I don't love that. So we have one job. Again, the dates are there, so that's cool. She only has the year, so again, I do recommend at least having the month with that, because obviously from 2011 to present, did you start in January 2011 or did you start in December? Because that kind of changes how long you worked there. Not that that's super big deal, but it makes it a little better understanding. So with Ryan's, he had August 2013 to present. I understand exactly how long he's worked there. Anyways, so we have the job title, where the job was at. We do have a paragraph underneath. I'm sorry, I have a lot of resumes to get through. I don't have time to read paragraphs, so I'm skipping over that part. You guys might think I'm just being mean, but this is what people do when they look at your resume. So the bullets we do have are under only one of the jobs we have. Safely and efficiently managing incoming and outgoing building materials at the shipping and receiving docks, complete and verifies all paperwork associated with the incoming and outgoing deliveries, maintains an organized warehouse. So all awesome skills from that job, but from her arts and crafts RS job, I would love to see the skills that she had there, providing an amazing customer service experience, all of those different things. And then we do have the next section is our skills and education. So we do have our skills, remarkable math skills. If you're just saying that, then sure, I have remarkable math skills, but I don't know exactly what that means. So maybe just say like you're, again, fluent in like Microsoft Office, so Word, Excel, all of those things. You have, I don't know if you can say some sort of math skills that you have, but saying that they're remarkable is kind of weird, so I wouldn't add that. She has uncommon customer service and sales skills. I don't know if she's trying to say like she's uncommon, that she's super awesome at it, or if that was a typo or what, but it's weird, so I would leave it out too. You can say that you have good customer service skills and sales skills, but I wouldn't say uncommon. And then we have our education. So we have college. She just has College of Management Studies. I don't know if that's like the school or if that is the degree. I would recommend putting like pursuing, if you're still in college, pursuing a bachelor's degree in management studies, something along those lines. Graduate in 2014, so that's cool. And then she does have her high school, doesn't have the date there, which, still is kind of nice to have. So we didn't need the GPA, but at least knowing exactly what you're studying at the school is important. So I would recommend definitely having that part on there. Next is our friend Mick. So Mick again has one of these templates that I'm not a huge fan of, but I don't hate as much as I hate Allison's. This one, he does say the dude. I don't care what your nickname is. Your name is Mick to me, not the dude. So please leave that off your resume. Again, we do have our address. I didn't notice this on his cover letter, but his email is monsterblood@example.com. Again, really easy to make it your first last name. If your first and last name is already taken as an email, whatever provider you're using, you can add a simple number at the end, maybe include your middle initial, what have you. Really easy to make a professional email address. It's not that difficult. Anyways, so then it looks like we're using gray font for some of our like headings, which makes it more difficult to read. I can still read it, but it is more difficult. Also, all of our things are lined up on the same side. So use indent, use tab, whatever you need to do to make sure that your headings kind of stand out a little more. Bold them, that's fine. I don't care if you bold a little bit or even change the font size like a teensy bit. That's fine. If you go to 14 for like your heading, that's fine. I need to see where is education, where is your experience. Like I want to see those sections. It makes my life a lot easier. So I recommend doing it. So education, we have the college name. We do not have the year that they're going to graduate, that they have graduated. I don't know. Again, College of Medicine. Personally, I would like to see, what are you studying? Are you pre-med? Is it physical therapy? Because that could be in some school of medicine at a university. I don't really know. So there's that. Now we get to the experience. So we do have bullets under there. We have 2 jobs. One is our Walter Soup Kitchen. So again, your volunteer work clearly can be experience on your resume. That's awesome. We do have paragraphs. Again, I don't have time to read paragraphs. I don't really love them on resumes. That might just be a personal thing, but that's not something I enjoy. So I highly recommend trying to make them into bullet points or make them just one quick sentence that's like not even the whole line or maybe just one line, because again, that's short and sweet and easy to read. So we do have different skills that he received from those experiences. So that's what I like to see. So, perform manual drilling and tapping of all types related to production. Those are kind of technical terms, I guess, for that job, but I don't really understand it. That's fine. And then we have Walter's Soup Kitchen. Again, prepared food in the kitchen, served clients, prepared emergency food packages. So all of those different skills and things that you did, that's awesome to put on here and adds to like what you did. Obviously, I highly recommend grabbing a thesaurus or something and trying to think of different words to make stuff sound better. So instead of I brought people their food, say, hey, I provided customer service experiences, providing them with anything they requested or needed at a timely manner. Something along those lines that was not a lie by any means, but it still sounds a little nicer. It sounds a little more professional. So I recommend. Now this part I didn't know was an option to put on your resume, but apparently it is for Mick. Hobbies. I like to hang out with friends and blow off steam with extreme sports and extreme fun. That's not going to help you get the resume or the job, Mick, so don't put it on your resume. So again, Mick's is decent. I kind of liked it a little bit better, at least for my eyes, um, more than Allison's, and then it was a little bit more separated. I knew exactly what skills went to what job experience or volunteer experience. I do like about all of their resumes is that they put experiences instead of like work experience, because obviously you can put stuff that you don't get paid for on your resume as experience. So on my resume personally, I have related experience because it's stuff that relates to possibly the job I want to get, but maybe I didn't get paid for it, so it's not technically work experience. Anyways, last but not least, we're going to look at their digital social media profile. I apologize for kind of how dated this looks, and you guys probably don't have profiles that look like this, but we're going to do with what we have. Again, you can rank them as you like. So we have Brian again. This is his social media profile. I'm going to describe it to you so you really know what we're looking at. So he has a thinking kind of profile picture, which is fine. I don't think it has to be perfect. It's still supposed to be like fun. Photos are like bike jumping in the air, rock climbing, paintball. His likes are paintball, bike, skateboarding, rock climbing, all fine things to do in your spare time. And then his post says, "Get ready, you, the letter U, weekend warriors," which warriors is spelled incorrectly. "Rager at Kyle's Casa Saturday night, NITE, spectacular. Bring your party kicks, y'all." I don't recommend talking about ragers on your social media. Obviously, it is social. It's supposed to be fun. You can talk about get-togethers. Maybe set up a private event if you need to. Or just text your friends about whatever you have going on Saturday night. I don't recommend putting it here. It just isn't awesome. It makes me, wonder what kind of rager you're going to be having, what's going to be happening at said rager. Just not good for your future employers or your current employers to see. Not a good idea. So next, again, we have Alison. So I did a terrible job folding, but here is Alison's profile. Again, I'm going to describe it. So her profile picture looks like she's a professor or something, checking out a book, whatever. Her photos are skiing, maybe presenting, maybe volunteering. She had like a construction hat on, and then looks like she's out traveling. Her likes are the Olympics, junior achievement, learning to be leaders, and then travel all the time. So we like to travel. That's cool. And then her post says, "I had an opportunity to visit the Tri-County Job Fair and spoke with several great companies. What a great area to be from." Beautiful post. Obviously, you don't have to always be talking about what you're doing for, your job and all of those things, but the fact that she also mentions that she's like happy to be from this area is super cool. It makes me think that she has pride from where she's from. She's also probably planning on staying here for a while. So when I'm thinking about employing her, I'm going to be like, okay, well, she's going to be an employee that's going to stick around. Not like, oh, I need to get out of here, but I need a job right now to pay bills. So I'm at least going to take a job for like 2 months, and then I'm peacing out and going on to somewhere that's cooler than my hometown. So again, if you really are not happy with where you're living, maybe just share it with your friends through text. Next, we have Nick. So our friend Nick, he has been looking pretty good so far. So his profile picture is holding books, maybe on campus or something, college. His photos have like volunteering, dogs, maybe picking up trash or something. Then we like cribbage, whole and healthy teen, love dogs, and travel all the time. So cool. His post says, "So glad I'm not working for KVK anymore. Enough of the craziness. I will go find another job. anything would be better. I just said, later, folks, y'all nuts. So that's not very good. I never recommend you bad mouthing a company or employer on social media. Now, of course, this is his previous employer, so he's not at least complaining about his job currently, but it's not always a good look. Um, Definitely shows that if there are any issues in the company that we're hiring for, he might do that to our company, and we don't want that. We don't want them bad mouthing us on social media. Also, who knows? We only have one post, so maybe he was posting about how every day was terrible and awful at KVK, and that just puts a bad taste in everyone's mouth. So we don't want that, and you don't want to make yourself look like that. So I highly recommend not complaining. Again, pick up the phone, call or text or something. Someone, if there are real issues happening in your company, talk to a supervisor, talk to a mentor, talk to your boss, whomever you need to, your HR person. Um, those people can help you solve those problems. Obviously, if there are very bad things happening in your company or someone's doing to you at the job place, again, take it up to those people, or you might need to find another job. But I highly don't recommend posting it on social media. And KVK might have just been having some differences with Nick, and maybe someone just was getting on his nerves, and then one day it just was too much for him. Their chair was squeaking too loud, and he was like, "Peace out, you guys are nuts." Um, who knows what actually happened? But for me, I'm probably gonna need recommendations or references, and typically a reference or recommendation is going to come from a previous employer. I don't think KVK is going to give Nick a very nice um, letter of recommendation or reference. So, again, think about those things. Never try to burn bridges. It's not a good idea. Obviously, if there are outstanding circumstances, maybe you won't leave on the best of terms, but you always try to. I think that's a good way to put it. Okay, so those were our candidates. I'll let you decide who you want to interview. I didn't love all of them. I guess Nick had the most potential with his resume and cover letter. His social media looks good, but then his posts are kind of not great. Alison posted nice stuff, but again, her resume was really hard to read, and her cover letter was um, 2 sentences, barely. And also, her email being drama queen, it makes me think that you're going to start drama in my workplace, and I don't want that. So, again, just think of all those things, and you guys can make your own decision. Next, and lastly, I'm just going to go through some quick tips, which I kind of did throughout, but I wanted to hit them on at the end so you can kind of take something with you. So, again, some cover letter tips: be professional, don't use slang. Make sure your grammar is kind of good, and it's also in letter format. So it's a nice letter. It has the date written out, it has addresses, all of those things. Then personalize your cover letter. So to whom it may concern is not the best, but again, if you can't find the name, don't stress yourself out. You can put that. But dear Mr. Smith is always a really good thing to put. Note the specific position. Again, like Mick did, he mentioned the exact position he was applying for, whereas Alison was like, I saw the job you posted in the paper. I might have 10 job openings. Which one? It really helps them narrow down where you need to go and make sure that you're applying for the right one and that you're qualified for the right one. Because I might be like, oh, maybe she's meant this one, and then it's like, she's not qualified at all for that job, but the other job that she should have specified for, she would have been qualified for. So just make sure you're specific. Be brief. Again, this is only about like one page. Again, just kind of stick to the 1 page rule. It's kind of easier that way. They don't want your whole life story. So this is supposed to be an introduction to you, but also, looking at the job description, what skills can you put into your cover letter that match the job description and shows that you're very qualified. Keep it simple, no crazy papers, no fancy fonts, simple, simple, simple. Obviously, there are more fonts that you can kind of use now, so you could use Times New Roman, Arial, Helvetica, Calibri, or something, but nothing like script. That's kind of crazy. It's, again, difficult to read. Comic Sans is just weird, so don't do that. Again, keeping it the same font size pretty much throughout the whole entire letter. Maybe your name is a little different because you either wrote it in cursive or you did like a cursive font to make it look like you signed it on the computer, but whatever. Don't repeat your resume. Yes, you're going to be sharing the same jobs or something that you did. You're going to be mentioning your experiences from a job that's most likely on your resume, but you shouldn't copy and paste those bullet points from your resume onto your cover letter. So make sure you're going more in depth about those things, all that kind of stuff. And then proofread, proofread, proofread. So you should proofread, your friend should proofread. If you have a teacher or a mentor or, a parent that's really good about cover letters and resumes, please have them check over it. It doesn't hurt. Again, like I've said, for me personally, I have some things that I like on my resume rather than what they had. And everyone's going to have their own personal opinion about that, about the setup and all of that stuff. But the main points are to be simple, have the nice fonts and all of that kind of stuff. So then resume tips. I got a little ahead of myself there. So stick to basics. Again, use plain paper, totally okay. Nothing crazy with like the font color, makes it a lot easier to read. Focus on accomplishments. So again, what have you done? What experiences do you have, whether they're paid or not paid? Are you in a club or any activities like that? Any awards you received with academics, you can put that in your education section. Be specific, so list previous positions, include dates and years, or like month and years for the date. That's very important to keep in mind. Check the facts. So again, make sure that you're not just estimating when you work somewhere. Obviously, like I mentioned, you don't have to put the exact date, but make sure that if you're saying you started working there in June, you actually did start working there in June and not in August or something like that. Also, titles, make sure that anyone you list has the correct title, or what your title was correct. Include the right information. So again, being honest. Obviously, again, like I said, pull a thesaurus out, look at those kind of things, but that does not mean that you are lying. You should not lie on these. You should not make it sound way more professional than it was or something. I don't know how to word that. Keep it professional, so leave out hobbies. Nick, he wanted to add in his hobbies, don't do that. Height, weight, which I didn't think you would think of, but apparently maybe some people do. Other personal information, religion, family, anything like that is not needed. And then lastly, again, proofread, proofread, proofread. Spell check is going to help you a lot, but obviously if you type a word correctly, but you didn't mean that word, it's not going to make sense. Make sure you reread it, but also have someone else, because you probably missed something because you're going to be staring at it for a little bit. Next and lastly is our digital profile. So your voicemail is part of this. Make sure that you have it nice, simple. State your name. If you want to leave it as the generic one, that's fine too. But don't have the one where it's like, hello? Hello? Oh, I'm just kidding. I'm not here. Because a future employer will get very upset that you were joking with them and they were trying to like actually talk to you about the possible job they were going to give you. Your email address, again, Nick was Monster Blood, Alison was Drama Queen. No, Mac or Ryan had ryanmac@email.com. Cool, perfect. Again, like I said, if you have to throw in a number, that's totally fine. I would keep it, single digits are a lot easier to remember. And again, the simpler, the better. And then also, if you have a signature on your email, make sure it's appropriate. It can be maybe your cell phone number. For my job, we have ones that have our logo on it and their address and their cell phone and their email and all of those things. Obviously, for your personal email, you don't need all that, but maybe add your cell phone number after you change your voicemail, of course. And then lastly is our social media site. So again, this is a first impression. If you think that people aren't actually going to look, you're wrong. They will. Again, if you have privacy settings, they're not going to be upset by that. But that is going to limit what they can see. So that's not a bad thing. But make sure that you're posting stuff that you're comfortable with, like your parents seeing, your teachers seeing, someone like that. Also, again, keeping complaints to a minimum, especially if they're about work or a job or something like that. One, for a future employer, I don't really want to bring that drama into my workplace. And two, if I'm your current employer and you're currently you're working and complaining about what's going on, that's just really rude. You need to take it up with the specific people at your company. There's HR people for that. There's plenty of coworkers to help you do it properly and not just gossip or something. So make sure you look at those channels. And other than that, I wish you guys the best of luck finding a job and using all of these tips and tricks to make your life a little easier. So thanks, guys. See ya.